Tommy Robinson is a homegrown terrorist. He is racist. He is violent. He is an extreme right-wing.
Sorry, Pablo, can I just put you in for your own sake? Would you like to withdraw those comments about Tommy Robinson being a, quote, homegrown terrorist? Can I politely suggest to you that you might want to do that?
Tommy Robinson hates everything about our country. He has no place in our
homegrown terrorist?
life.
The shocking thing, too, of course, is that there is still a full-throttled attack on any individual in the United Kingdom who is calling out the Islam threat. And that attack, by the way, comes from the deep state and it comes from the mainstream media. And we've seen it this week with Tommy Robinson, even though he was found not guilty in a court case that shames the British deep state, that shames the British police. And if this judge hadn't made the right decision, it would have shamed the British judiciary too. But the reality is it should never have got in front of a judge. And we're seeing this happen in so many ways, right? So I want to talk to you about the most egregious this week was when some lunatic lefty called Pablo O'Hannah, who is now used by GB News as the sort of fix to the off-communist problem, went on the channel, and hours after Tommy had just been cleared of being a homegrown terrorist, called Tommy a homegrown terrorist. Now, there's been major developments on this overnight, because yesterday, as we went to air, Tommy posted meeting lawyers about this clown on Friday. He continued, "These lies and smears have been told for well over a decade. They dehumanize me in the hope someone does what they did to Charlie Kirk. This whore knew I wasn't a terrorist. He used the words to purposefully defame me, but also to put a target on me for a violent attack just like what happened in St. Pancras." So before I get to the development, and it is a major one, and it involves a grovelling apology, let me remind you of the smears that were broadcast by GB News. Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go, wherever you are, then please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as a personal favour to me, please rate and review, as it really helps our independent.
Well, it is ironic that people like Tommy Robinson are so in favour of stop and search until it's them that are stopped and searched. Tommy Robinson is a homegrown terrorist. He is racist. He is violent. He is an extreme right-wing.
Sorry, Pablo, can I just put you in for your own sake? Would you like to withdraw those comments about Tommy Robinson being a, quote, homegrown terrorist? Can I politely suggest to you that you might want to do that?
Tommy Robinson hates everything about our country. He has no place in our
homegrown terrorist,
life.
Pablo?
He has performed and he has delivered speeches that are incredibly divisive. They demonize our communities. They divide our country.
Right.
And that is that is not who our country is, what our country is.
But he's not a homegrown terrorist, though, is he?
He may not be a terrorist, but
right, okay. So you were drawing already, yeah.
And he encourages the type of division that this country does not stand for.
Talking of division, I don't know about you, Alan, but I'm sorry.
It may be in this case that the judge decided that he was stopped because of his politics. That may be the case.
Right. Okay.
But there is no doubt.
But Alan, I'll come back to that, because that's quite an interesting statement, isn't it? Yeah. Someone on the left who comes straight out the traps and says Tommy Robinson's a homegrown terrorist, then has to backtrack on it and then talks about people like Tommy Robinson sowing division.
I think it's remarkable, and actually many on the so-called left bear huge responsibility for the problem of censorship and not allowing people to talk about things like rape gangs and borders without calling them racist. It's
Are you disagreeing that Tommy Robinson is far right and racist? He is far right and he is racist. That's not me being outrageous.
Again, I think
he is. That is
in a bit of trouble there, Pablo.
What you started off here was saying that he's a homegrown terrorist. It's utterly irresponsible. You've backtracked already. You've demonstrated the cavalier and superficial nature of your assessment, and I think you really need to take stock. We're having a very serious conversation in Britain about the concerns of the British public, where people who fly our national flag are called all sorts of names, where 1 million people went on Unite the Kingdom demonstration, and yet people are calling them at the Labour Party conference racist.
No,
you started off with a smear.
So, Pablo Ohana has now seen sense, posting a statement about my appearance on GB News last night and writing, correction. On the 4th of November 2025, I used an inaccurate term about Tommy Robinson during a GB News segment. Although I clarified during the segment the allegation I made was unfounded and ought not to have been made, he has no terrorism convictions and was acquitted in the only matter touching terrorism powers. I withdraw the remark in its entirety and apologise for the error. For the avoidance of doubt, I should not have used the words homegrown terrorist. But that's not enough, is it? It's simply not enough, because GB News brought this guy on and broadcast it. And while I appreciate Patrick Christie's did encourage him to withdraw the remarks, this does show one of the reasons why our mainstream media is so fundamentally flawed. Norman Fenton made that point, the professor, writing, the guy who made the libelous accusation against Tommy Robinson last night on GB News has issued this apology. Based on the rest of his interview, it's not genuine and was only due to the threats of legal action. But my question to GB News, where is your apology for inviting him on? Alan Miller, who appeared alongside Pablo in that debate, wrote, are you apologising because you're scared that legal action may be taken, or because you're genuinely sorry for saying something so malicious and patently untrue? You went on to repeat claims that Tommy Robinson is racist and encourages the type of divisions this country does not stand for, as well as repeating far right. This may be your opinion, but based on what facts? Concerns about rape gangs and radical Islamism? The trouble is you and too many others are all too ready to smear, lie, and use slurs rather than interrogate the issues openly in good faith. That is what increasing division in this country, and also is dangerous. Have you called out those engaging in the actual crimes by any name? This climate of calling not just Tommy Robinson but wider public these names has gone too far, and it needs to stop. As I said on the show, you need to take stock. This is so serious in Britain right now and puts people and our nation in direct danger. And I think that's true. But of course, I repeat the fact that this is a channel which does not believe that Tommy Robinson has a right to give his opinion. They've never platformed him. They've never allowed him on the channel at all. But it will put on hard left extremists who are prepared to call him a homegrown terrorist. But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. And I'm very excited to say the heat has finally arrived overseas. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot special edition colorway from Manscaped is now available across the UK, Europe, and Australia. It's the same trimmer trusted by millions of men, including me, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. But this isn't just a pretty face. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risk of nicks, cuts, and irritation where it matters most. So whether you're cleaning things up for a day, to trip, or just to feel a little bit more put together, the white hot trimmer makes below-the-waist grooming a whole lot smoother. Literally. Join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And to the ladies in the Outspoken audience, trust me, this is a fail-safe gift for your boyfriend, your husband, your son, your brother, or your hard-to-buy-for male best mate. The blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping the bloke in your life avoid the usual redness or irritation that comes with lower quality trimmers. It's simple, effective, and doesn't require a whole routine. Just pick it up, clean up what you need, and move on. Whether you're using it in the shower, on the go, or standing over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. Plus, the white and gold design actually looks good. You won't be hiding it in the bottom drawer anymore. White hot looks, smooth results. The White Hot 5.0 Ultra brings the heat without cooking your skin. It's sleek, easy to use, and way less terrifying than whatever you were using before. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. That's 15% off with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. But now, back to the show. Ezra Levant of Rebel News responded saying, this retraction and apology is grudging and it's 2 days late, but it is a retraction and apology nonetheless. And I would ask you, when was the last time Tommy Robinson received a retraction and apology from anyone in the political media class? Ohana is a nobody, and this was obviously compelled by a lawyer after his, or more likely GB News's. I've known Tommy for a decade and I've never seen an apology to him before. He was undefamable, as in you could say literally anything about him without worry. In the past, he didn't have the resources to sue, and even if he did, it was received wisdom that he had no reputation to be harmed. But that's changed. The comprehensive vindication of Tommy by Judge Sam Goose in the Westminster Magistrates Court will make it exceedingly dangerous for anyone to imply that Tommy is a terrorist ever again. And the mainstreaming of Tommy, including his reinstatement of his social media platforms, his successful rally in September, his friendship with Elon Musk, and his remarkable state visit to Israel, have rebuilt his public reputation and introduced him to millions of new people in a positive light. That's the legal definition of reputation. The Mean Girls in the UK's Clubby Media Guild never stopped referring to Tommy's EDL days a decade ago, but Tommy Robinson in 2025 is a very different person with an international brand, as in something to sue over. If Tommy were ever to say, sue the BBC, just imagine the document discovery of every malicious smear and insult in their corporate email and messages system. There would be thousands dripping with vulgarity, class snobbery, and hatred. I think the BBC would settle just to avoid revealing the depths of their classism and bias. What's more, Judge Goose's ruling that Tommy was illegally arrested because he was politically profiled opens the door to legal action against the police themselves if they continue their endless vendetta against him. And they are. Stand by for his next trial. Watching the police witness flounder on the witness stand during the Terrorism Act trial tells you the UK deep state simply has never had to justify their misconduct before. And they're not as clever as they think. I've already forgotten this loser pundit's name, but I'm happy to note his legal surrender, and I suspect it will be the first of many. Connor Tomlinson, this is a really interesting one because I actually completely agree with Ezra Levant there. Pablo Ohana, never heard of him, right? Like, he's just clearly a dude who is prepared to go on GB News for the 40 quid to effectively provide them with Ofcom balance. But I think that's one of the problems in our entire mainstream media, which is that GB News is prepared to put someone like that on air. They would have known, Connor, that he was going to describe Tommy as a homegrown terrorist if they were worth their salt. They certainly should have done a research chat with him beforehand. And they're prepared to do that because they're so desperate to provide balance. At the same time, they're not prepared to let Tommy Robinson defend himself on the channel.
Yes, Dan, I demand a better quality of left-wing propagandists because these people are unimpressive, stupid, they talk themselves down blind alleys and then have to do embarrassing retractions. Though it is encouraging that one of the few men in the country that you can just apparently libel without consequences, Mr. Robinson, has secured an apology and retraction. This is yet another step towards the denormalization of slandering your political opponents as fascists, racists, Nazis, terrorists, all of which, as Oren McIntyre has pointed out in the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk, are just slurs which actually mean you can do violence against this person and you will be approved of by the media, the government, and the activist class. One thing that I will note is there is a note of optimism about the Robinson verdict, not just because police can no longer use their expansive counter-terror powers that are meant to apply to the actual jihadists imported into our midst, but are only ever levelled at the native population who complain about the importing of terrorists into our midst. But as Ezra pointed out, if this opens up the police to future legal action and sets precedent for targeting their political opponents, and I say there because the College of Policing has been ubiquitously infiltrated by DEI ideology ever since the Macpherson report on the 2014 hate crime operational guidance that developed things like non-crime hate incidents for protected characteristics. If that opens up that standard, then that protects the rest of us. So I'll do a quick story that I haven't told yet, and I didn't publish the video because I don't want people knowing where I live for obvious security reasons. But a couple of nights ago, 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a knock on the door from 2 police officers. And it happened to be that they were conducting a welfare check for the woman who used to live here. But I can tell you what, opening up my Ring doorbell at 1 o'clock in the morning, after the arrest of Pete North for a pro-Hamas meme at a similar hour a few weeks ago, seeing 2 police officers pounding on my door as I got dressed and my wife was shrieking because she was woken up by it, I was pretty spooked by that. I thought, okay, it's time to ring the Free Speech Union and Fair Cop and I'm going to end up in the Telegraph tomorrow. Nobody in this country should be living in fear of that happening to them for saying obviously sensible things on the internet about the state of their country. And if Tommy Robinson's acquittal and subsequent legal action against the police protects us, then he has done yet another service for this country.
I believe he has. I really do believe he has. And that is horrible and terrifying that that is what you would believe was about to happen to you. But I understand why. And of course, we have seen it time and again. Lucy Connolly springs to mind, doesn't she?
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.